Jan, I know you've also been playing some Fae Tactics, which I had pulled up on Steam right before this, and it looks kind of cool.
I love this game, Brad.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
feel like
pretty
well,
good.
first of all, we should establish if it actually is a tactics RPG or not, which is what it looks like. But also, if that's the case, I feel like you've been in search of one of those for a while.
I have been.
Like you keep trying them, and they keep kind of not landing.
After
If you found the
after
one, then I'm happy for you.
after Into the Breach, it's been a real hard struggle getting back into like a classic tactics style of game. That kind of captures what I loved about Final Fantasy Tactics and Tactics Advance.
Yeah, like what was that one based on the Netflix show that we looked at?
Gosh.
Stranger Things.
No, not
No.
Stranger Things.
Oh, Dark Crystal.
Was it Dark
Dark
Crystal?
Crystal.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was actually decent enough for a bare bones tactics game, just like to turn your mind off. But Fate Tactics, it actually feels like a fully fledged tactics game where you actually have to think about stuff rather than kind of just bullishly going through the encounters.
Yeah, they're really going for that Final Fantasy Tactics
Look.
Yeah, like the
gameplay.
look of it
Yeah.
is like pixely art and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And the bare bones tactics stuff of like having to position your units, your back attacks to the back do more, and then after you make your move, you have to orient which way your unit is facing to prepare for an upcoming attack or whatever. But it's all like the in-between stuff that they add. Like normally in a tactics game, if like I feel like XCOM has influenced a lot of tactics games to have like an Overwatch type feature, right? But here there's wait action. So if you don't do anything with your character, they have like a wait ability. For instance, like in your beginning party, you have your main character, a dog, and like a bird frog thing. And the wait ability for your dog is kind of like a shield ability, and it's covering like a certain number of tiles. That if ally is attacked, your dog winds up taking the damage instead. Or if with your main character, if you wind up waiting, you can their next attack is a chain style attack, so they'll zip through a couple enemies if they're close enough. And on top of that, there's like Pokemon style elements, guys, where you can capture enemy units and wind up summoning them for the next battle, and you wind up leveling up those independently on top of your existing party. And within like the first hour, there was like a lot of different elements of like depth that they were throwing at you, because on top of that,
maybe a little too much, I might say.
But I love it, Ben.
I like it too. Like I really like how complex it is. I feel like they don't do a great job of explaining all of it right away. I definitely had to just kind of like bull rush through and just like kind of brute force it a little bit. I wish they maybe gave you a little, because unless I'm completely missing it, like a lot of all characters have like these abilities, and I couldn't find anywhere what the abilities actually did. Like I couldn't find, just like you couldn't hover over it and see. So I had to kind of just like, okay, I'm going to test it out in battle and kind of figure out for myself.
Yeah. And even like the beginning encounters, like one of them was actually pretty rough from the get-go because the enemies had just wound up buffing each other up that I couldn't actually hit them. But in Fate Tactics, I don't know, y'all. It's scratching that itch because the art style is very reminiscent of Final Fantasy Tactics. And the writing has been okay so far, but it's the actual like gameplay where I feel I actually feel like a tactician making moves, and like the dumb AI is falling into my traps all the time.
Yeah.
And also, God, why hasn't this been done in a tactics game, or at least like this style of game, where one of your ally units is a dog? Because I love this dog. I think his name is Chico, and I would die for this dog.
It's a pretty good dog name.
Yeah.
And you might have to. I don't know. We'll see what happens in the game. I agree with you that the writing is kind of okay. My problem more with the story, rather than the content itself, is kind of how disjointed it is, where it will be like characters will be talking and then all of a sudden you're in a mission and you don't know exactly like where you are or why you're doing what you're doing. Like it very much like it's just like boom, all of a sudden like it's like, okay, we have to go to this shop, and then you're just kind of like in the middle of a desert. Why,
Yeah.
well, it's a little weird, but if you can ignore that and just play the game, and it is a really good one of those.
100%. For a while, I was in the same boat, Ben, where I had no idea why I was going through these encounters until I think I got to that shop, and then the main character mentioned that, like, oh, I got to go fix my bike. I guess you don't have the parts. I guess I'll go over here to find parts. I was like, oh, right. We're fixing a motorcycle so we can get to another town.
They got motorcycles? They're like fantasy motorcycles?
It's fantasy motorcycles with like a barrier spell over it. Who knows what you could get?
All right. This is, what is this, Steam only right now?
It's on, or it's coming to Switch, I believe.
Okay.
I think Fate Tactics on Switch is the way to play that game. Like,
yeah.
I think that, I mean, there's not many games I wouldn't play on my Switch, but like anything like where you can kind of like sit and think about it for a while, like, yeah.
All right.
I would say maybe if you can wait.
It's also has a really good tile feel. And in a tactics game, that's very important.
Perhaps the
Into the Breach, 5 out of 5 tile feel.
Tile feel.
War Groove.
Oh, yeah.
An okay tile feel, but that's like almost a different style of tactics game.
Yeah, chat just reminded me that Wargroove has a pretty good strategy dog in it.
Oh, it does. It does.
Now that I think about it.
Fire Emblem Three Houses, if that had a dog, if it had like a student dog, that would have been game of the decade.
There's seriously not a dog in that entire game?
There's no...
There's a lot of cats around the map. Like,
Boo.
I'm
fine with cats.
The cats are cute. I don't even know if you can pet them. I played like probably 5 hours of that game, so I don't remember clearly.
Oh man, but Fire Emblem like Three Houses, terrible tile feel, and
Really?
I love that game.
What makes a good tile feel?
It needs like, you know, those like slidey tile puzzles where you gotta like put the numbers in order.
Okay.
It needs to resemble that, but virtually.
Oh, okay.
It needs to, like, the Fire Emblem's thing is like they draw out this map and then just slap a grid on top of it, where instead of like constructing a map out of a grid.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think I'm following you.
Like, it needs to feel satisfying to move 2 squares.
You want like a good snap?
Yeah, you need a good snap. You need a good heft to it.
Okay.
If the map also like shakes, that's like a plus. Like Disgaea, that field gets a little bit too hectic. Into the Breach, nice and solid. Also, if you can move the map around, like in Tactics Ogre,
Okay.
A plus.
Okay. Did you like a free form kind of moving, or more like a 90-degree, like a, you know?
You need solid 90 degrees.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Fixed angles. Okay.
Yeah. Snap mapping. Is that what that's?
Yes, that is definitely exactly what snap map is.
Okay.
For sure. Somebody's keeping it alive. I swear to God, I went to Steam this morning to see what Fate Tactics was after you said you'd been playing it, and there are too many fucking games on Steam.
Yeah.
Like, I was going through the new releases, and it was just like game after game after game after, like, I don't know if people have nothing to do but finish their games and ship them on Steam right now. But,